Welcome. This is James Corbett of CorbettReport.com.
And this is James Evan Pilato of MediaMonarchy.com, and we both welcome you back to another jam-packed episode of The New World Next Week, which of course you can find at newworldnextweek.com. And as always, a huge thanks to all those outlets who help spread the word about this show, like ParadigmShift.tv. James, I think our three stories this week kind of paint an interesting narrative, if you will. And we'll begin from a site that I always find extremely valuable, allgov.com. DHS and Navy contract to hack gaming systems, and they have awarded it. The federal government wants to obtain the capability to hack into video game consoles, all in the name of thwarting terrorism and pedophiles. Obscure Technologies, a small San Francisco-based company that performs computer forensics, has received a $177,000 contract from the Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Navy to create software that can penetrate the Microsoft Xbox 360, the Sony PlayStation 3, the Nintendo Wii, and other game systems. The contract is part of the, quote, Gaming Systems Monitoring and Analysis Project that began in 2008 when law enforcement discovered pedophiles used video game consoles to find victims. Since then, national security officials came to the conclusion that terrorists may also use online games to communicate. Presumably, the developed technology would allow the FBI or CIA to follow chat between players and access other information stored on the game systems. The contract was signed by the Naval Postgraduate School, but the tools will be delivered to Homeland Security. And there are related articles, spy games from Foreign Policy and from Wired. Feds want way to hack Xboxes and Wiis for evidence. And we even provide the link to fedbizops.gov, where the original contract was posted. R&D effort for the development and delivery of computer forensic tools for analyzing network traffic and stored data created during the use of video game systems. That is a mouthful. An easier mouthful, James, is for folks to remember, and again, we'll provide all the sources cited here. Information Operations Roadmap, where the military has already said, and they've already put it out and put it in writing, that they want to fight the net as if it were an enemy weapons system. And we can also recall somewhat recently, James, the massive hack of Sony PlayStation's online gaming. So what's your take? Video games are so prevalent now, and this is just another way that probably should be no surprise. James, what's your take on the video game hack?
Well, just another way of steeping us in the police state and letting us know that full spectrum dominance really means full spectrum dominance. The Pentagon wants control over every possible communication device, over every possible theater of the battlefront. And the battlefront, of course, is our minds. So what better way to do it than one of these glowing boxes that's keeping so many people in its thrall. But I like how that article goes on to say that, well, terrorists can use the Xbox to communicate, so we need to be monitoring the communications that are possible there. Well, terrorists can use Skype to communicate, so I guess the government should be listening in on all Skype communications. And terrorists can drive a car, so I guess there needs to be a federal law enforcement official in every car. Or terrorists can go out to buy coffee, therefore every time you go to buy coffee, someone should be on your tail making sure you're not a terrorist. It's just that part of that infantile logic, but it all makes sense within the framework of the war of terror that they've set up, this whole paradigm. And once again, in case you didn't notice, I'm pretty sure you did by now, but it's all aimed squarely at you. You are the suspect. They want you for all of this, and they want you involved in this and steeped in this and with your identity invested in this. So once again, I mean, every single thing that you can possibly have, any outlet, any device that connects you to the outside world, is a potential way for terrorists to interact, and is just another way for the Pentagon and Washington to get its foot in the door of every single American. And ultimately, this will affect people all around the world, because governments always copy what the American government is doing. Like we saw that China just came out with their version of the NDAA, basing it on the American NDAA. So there you go. The beacon of freedom and hope in the world is certainly not that anymore. So absolutely, just another Orwellian. I mean, how can it get more Orwellian than this?
And if you've done your homework, and if you do, you will discover that, again, you got to know who the real terrorists are. So when you hear them talk about terrorists, you go, oh, yeah, you guys do use that. You are doing that. You are engaging the internet as an enemy weapons system. I think it's interesting that the contract claims, that this, they started it in 2008. When law enforcement discovered pedophiles used video game consoles, they probably discovered it because there were some of their own people that always inevitably get scooped up in those pedophile child porn sweeps. So, James, say you realize, these video games, they're all getting hacked. I'm just going to crack a book open. So we'll move to our second story. From firedoglake.com, from the Dissenter blog, FBI efforts to keep whistleblower's book unpublished. The FBI has been trying to prevent former FBI employee and whistleblower Sibel Edmonds from publishing a book she submitted for pre-publication review nearly 1 year ago, the National Whistleblower Center reports. Edmonds submitted a manuscript of her book called Classified Woman, the Sibel Edmonds story, on April 26, 2011, because under an employee agreement she signed, this was required. In turn, the FBI had 30 days to review and approve the submission. Now, 343 or 4 days later, Edmonds says the book is being held hostage. The National Whistleblower Center has some idea of what is taking so long. They published a document that employees like Edmonds were required to sign, which they consider to be an illegal contract because it asserts the FBI has the authority to censor material if it might pose an issue for public policy. Now, if we jump down, we'll give you a little background here. Edmonds is a Turkish-American who was hired as an FBI translator shortly after 9/11. According to the ACLU, she reported shoddy work and security breaches to her supervisors that could have prevented the attacks, and she was fired in March 2002. She contested her firing in July of 2002. Then on July 6, 2004, a judge dismissed her case because the government invoked the state secrets privilege. James, you have the good fortune of now being able to work with Sibel Edmonds at boilingfrogspost.com. So tell me more about this story.
Well, absolutely. It is a complete honor to be associated with Sibel, especially because a lot of what I was doing in the early part of the Corbett report was motivated by her example of standing up and speaking out on these issues and doing so bravely for a long time when not a lot of people were backing her up. And now that I am honored to be associated with her, I do know a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes, and I can tell people out there who don't know and who haven't thought about this. She is still fighting a lot of fights behind the scenes that people don't understand and don't really appreciate. But she is still really engaged in this struggle and still, of course, being targeted for what she knows. So with this craziness, the FBI is mandated to have a 30-day window in which they can either reject or approve a book, and it's been a year. So yes, absolutely, she's going ahead with publication on First Amendment grounds. You can already pre-order a copy. I suggest you do. I'm honored enough to have an advanced copy that I've read. Absolutely, just phenomenal, incredible book, incredible information. And this is information that deserves to be out. And once again, I mean, they can pass laws saying that whatever, they have this 30-day period where they can restrict your First Amendment right because of, classified material. But in this case, it's not even classified material that they're going after. It's just a policy that they're talking about of restricting things. And we've seen this with Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer and Ali Soufan and all these other people who have written books exposing things from the inside. And the first print run gets bought up by the Pentagon and destroyed, like with Schaefer's book, where the FBI does all sorts of backstage shenanigans with Ali Soufan's book, etc., etc. I mean, there's a huge concerted war on whistleblowers going on, and Sibel is very much at the tip of that spear. So I hope people are keeping their eye on this story. And on that note, I will be having Sibel on Corbett Report Radio later this month, so people should tune into that, and we'll have a big, in-depth conversation about what's been going on and what she's doing now that she's proceeding with this publication.
And this main article is packed full of information and does go into some of those other cases that you mentioned, Anthony Schaefer and some of the others. So, James, we realize, oh, God, our video games are all hacked. And then you think, oh, even my books are being censored and kept from me. I'm going to go out and do something about it. I'm gonna head outside. So we come to our third and final story as you head outside. Taking it from The Guardian and from the amazing work of our good friend Michael Vale at Strat Risks, future riots may be controlled with chemicals. Future riots could be quelled by projectiles containing chemical irritants fired by police using new weapons that are now in the final stages of development. Now, again, this is from The Guardian, coming from the UK. The Discriminating Irritant Projectile, or DIP, has been under development by the Home Office's Center for Applied Science and Technology, CAST, as a potential replacement for plastic bullets. Documents obtained by The Guardian reveal that last summer's riots in England provided a major impetus to the Home Office research into new generation riot control technology, ranging from the DIP to even more curious weaponry described by CAST technicians as skunk oil. The briefing by CAST for the Police Service of Northern Ireland says that last year's disorder sparked a surge of ideas to the Home Office from the public as well as companies manufacturing police technology. To capitalize on the interest, CAST convened a brainstorming event last October. Participants included police from London and Northern Ireland, the Police Federation, the Serious Organized Crime Agency, SOCA, and the Ministry of Defense's Defense Science and Technology Laboratory. No ideas too stupid or off the wall to consider, the briefing notes record. Now, James, this reminded me of something I know I've heard for years and heard it years ago, something that Alex Jones said. So I did a little searching and found that, of course, Media Matters and other fake left foundation-funded outlets posted a video last August. Alex Jones loses it over robot helicopters with airborne Ebola. But if you look up the Sunshine Project, and again, we'll provide all these links, online clearinghouse of U.S. non-lethal weapons document, and also an article from Wired, Marines kill knockout gas info, and I'll even provide a interesting other side bit, because it's all predictive programming in some way, TV tropes, the idea of knockout gas out there in the popular culture. So, James, there's the storyline in a way. There's the scenario. 1, 2, 3.
Well, exactly. And you're right. I mean, it is a storyline in a lot of ways. It's stirring up the pot, and then when the people start boiling over in that pot, they've got the knockout gas or whatever they want to throw at us to take care of it. And once again, I mean, imagine my surprise. You mean the London riots have now led to the rollout, the PR campaign for this new Orwellian technology of the police state control grid? Imagine my shock. I mean, it's the perfectly predictable result. Going out on the streets and losing our head and just breaking windows and stuff is not going to change the fundamental structure of society. I don't know if people have realized that yet. So once again, I mean, it's time to be smart about this rather than just going out and playing into that narrative and just doing what they want and going out on the streets mindlessly rioting and then allowing them to use all of this newfangled police state technology that they're rolling out as part of the PR campaign. And I think we have to understand what's happening, and instead of giving the power to that system, we have to withdraw the power from that system and have to step back and stop feeding it with our money, stop feeding it with our time, stop investing in it emotionally and with our identities, because ultimately it is our withdrawing from that system and forming the communities that will be the basis for whatever society survives the inevitable economic collapse that will be what sees us through this, not going out and trashing stores and breaking windows.
And as the article even says, the surge of ideas came to the Home Office from the public as well as companies manufacturing police technology. So they basically, hey, you know, it'd be a great idea is this thing we make. Just like folks like Chertoff and all the other Homeland Security characters profit from the solution, and that is the dialectic, James. I have a massive live episode lined up, still being pre-produced on MediaMonarchy.com this weekend, James, as I'm watching so many things, again, as the storyline kind of plays out. But it'll be Trayvon, Manson, Titanic, Tax Day, and so very much more this weekend on MediaMonarchy.com. So I thank you.
Well, looking forward to that, and I'll see you on Corbett Report Radio for Food World Order tonight.
That's right. Episode 16. Thanks so much, man. Take care.